Alright, I'm going to try and do a little more dry baking. I haven't done that in a while. I'm going to make something I've never made in dry baking, but I have made in a Dutch oven. So, I've made a big quantity of it, not a small quantity. Don't know if it's going to work in a small quantity, but we're going to give it a try. Scott, I was going to try and use your little feet guys here tonight, but I just can't get much in there. And by the time it's all said and done, the two guys barely fit in here. They're great, they can stand on top of each other, but I just don't know if I can get them inside this little thing. So they're just going to have to stay for little kids' cupcakes or something. I don't know. They're funny looking as all get out, but I can't get them to fit inside of here with the two pots in there. So we're going to stick with these. They're a little bigger than these as far as cupcake size goes, but they don't have that base on them. So we're going to do some makeshifting to make it work. So we're going to take the inner pot, which is just one of my measuring granulated pots chopped down with a little O-ring and then bent into where the handle was, so I can pull it out when I'm done. We're going to put in the base of that one, first we have the grease pot. Here I moved the grease pot with a little flower design thing in the bottom. That's actually the top section of this pot, kind of bent up. So, throw that in there. Keep it off the bottom of it. We're using Smoke Eater 908's lunar stove. I can't remember the exact name, but lunar stove, because it fits this pot exactly. And you need something kind of that can do a small burn. And I can keep this down to a little bitty wick down here. Once I get it going, I'll pull out that outer ring and just keep a nice small flame to keep this at a constant temperature. It's got a remote feed on it, so that's good. I can keep fuel in there. My plan is to put the first one in the bottom, and the second one I'm going to hang. I'm sorry, I keep getting in the way. I'm going to hang with aluminum foil just above it, so I can do two at a time. So what we're cooking tonight, get all this back out of here, get this all mixed up and ready to go. We're making cherry cobbler. I need my spoon. My favorite spoon. See the summit? Nice long one. The bottom of the cherry cobbler is just some yellow cake mix. About 1/3 of the way up. Same on this one. And then, can't have cherry cobbler without cherries. So we're going to drop some cherry pie filling in here. Nice and careful so it doesn't get on the sides, because that will make a mess here. About 1/3 of the container. This is not going to rise that much, just a little bit. We're not putting any eggs in here or anything, so it's not going to have all the stuff it would need to rise necessarily. It's just going to bake it down. Get on just one more. And the liquid from the cherry pie filling is the liquid that's going to make the cake all gooey and not all crumbly. Oops, I need that. Oh, this is going to be the tough part here. I've got to get all that off there. Excuse me. That was delicious. I'm going to get a paper towel. I don't want to stick that into my cake mix over here without wiping it off, or I'll have nice gross germs, digitizer germs all over it. And you just want to coat the top of that again a little bit, not a whole third. About half the area that's left is going to be coated with this again, leaving about 1/6. Man, I'm good at math, aren't I? About 1/6 of the container empty. And what we're going to do there is we're going to take and we're going to leave a little room for growth, possibly. And I know you're not going to have this on the trail, so this part you could have to leave out if you're going on a trail. This is just a one-day hike. You're going to get some butter. I use the salted butter for this one because everything's so sweet. This will add a little non-sweet. And I throw a sliver of butter on the top of it. And that'll help the top of the cake mix brown a little bit. Possibly, in theory anyway, it does in the Dutch oven. There's no top heat coming from this, so I don't know how this is going to work. So that's all it is, just 2 little slivers of butter. We'll wipe that off again. And we'll get this thing fired up and get it going here. Place these in there. Nice and clean. This one's going in the bottom, if I can do it without spilling it all over the edges. And it's a pretty good, and they'll spread out just a little bit when you fill them up. And I've got a good 3/8 of an inch all the way around that without it touching the sides. This one now is going to go right on top of our little ring we put down inside there. I think that's why I put the ring on there, the D-ring, so I can lower it in. Yep, nice and smooth. But I'm going to pull it off that edge because it actually slid as I was putting it down there to this one side. Just to keep the heat consistently around it. This is going to be the hard one. Sorry if I get in front of the stove here. If I fail miserably and this falls, I want you guys to see it. I said stove, I think I meant camera. There is no way that is going to work. It is kind of oblong. I'll get a picture from above here so you guys can see how it looks right now. I don't know what's going to happen when I get this thing in here and let it cook a little bit. A little heat might cause that aluminum just to collapse. And they'll be laying one on top of the other. It's just bouncing back and forth. Nonetheless, we're going to give it a try. We're going to put the lid on there. Gently, so we don't hurt the aluminum. We're going to fire it up. See what we get. So, alright, so sorry I accidentally hit the power button when I was putting that back on there. Got a little bit of cake dye on this down there. Get some fuel in here since I don't have any in there right now. See how fast that goes into the stove. Not too bad. I don't want too hot of a flame, so I'm not sure how I'm going to adjust that up and down, but we'll find a way. Lighter. I think this has a little air vent on the top of it here, and if you have it closed all the way, it doesn't get as much through, and if you open the air vent up, it lets more through. So we're going to see if any got through yet. Not yet. So we're going to get some of that through real quick by opening this up, raising that up, just until it has a little bit of glare to the wick. Might even do a little squeeze just to get it. Oh, it's damp now. Okay. We're going to fire it up. Make sure all our feet are good. And we're going to set a time on this. A regular baking takes about 23 minutes. This doesn't have all the juices in it, so it needs to bubble a little bit. So we're going to give it 30 minutes. It's 6:10 now. So we'll come back and check on it quite frequently for flame. There's a little look at our flame there. You can barely see it, but it's just a small flame to start with. And it'll get smaller as we go. So 6:10, I'm going to set my alarm on my phone. Sit down here and goof around with some other stuff while this is baking and just check back in on it. And I'll check back with you guys just as soon as it's ready to go. See you in a little bit. So we're at about 11 minutes and let's just kick it over here. 11 minutes, 7 seconds here. Not very far in. And let's see if you can see the fuel still. Yeah. So the fuel was up top when I started. I pumped about that much in to start the first run. And I just pumped about that much more in. And by pumping it out, and I actually had to sit here and pump it, you just take this little top piece right here and you flip that little thing up. And that releases the air pressure in there and lets the stove pull back in. Mostly gravity, but the stove is also pulling with the flame there. Pull back in the fuel. And I don't know if you can see right now, there's a little bit of orange glow on the wick right now over here. And as soon as that orange glow is gone and it's full again, because smokier now, it's got this safety top on here where there's a little extra room underneath of that wick for fuel. If it does overflow a little bit, it catches most of it in there, and if it does flow more, it kind of runs down the side of the thing. It doesn't really hurt anything. So I let that stay open until I see all the orange wick gone, or until the flame starts getting really big. In this case, I don't want a big flame, so I'm going to kick it back down, shut that off a little bit. I'm down to here now. That'll stay at that level until I open it back up, because well, it takes a second, but it'll start creating an air vacuum in there, because that's sealed up over there now. So we'll let it run at that for a little while. It's going pretty good. The flame goes down to just a little bit of a flame, and then I open it back up and let it come back up. Kind of like your stove would do to maintain a temperature. It heats for a while and then shuts off, heats for a while and then shuts off. Well, I'm not trying to maintain a temperature in here. I have no idea what the temperature is, but I don't want it to be boiling hot in there the whole time and everything just bubbling over. So letting it go down a little bit doesn't hurt it. We'll come back in about another 10 minutes and see where we stand. Alright, we're back. It's 23 minutes. I just want to show you this is where I generally would take off my muffins that I'd cook, but because this is a cobbler, I'm going to run it out a little bit longer. At 20 minutes, the fuel line went all the way below the plastic where I couldn't see it anymore. It was almost out, so instead of letting it run out, I added another ounce. I'm guessing this is a complete 2 ounces of fuel here. I added another ounce back in, and it's already back down a little bit from that. And speaking of which, it's starting to get a big flame, so I'm going to go ahead and shut the valve a little bit, let it come back down a little bit, open the valve up, let it come back up. Been doing that the whole time. About once every 3 minutes I flip it open, leave it open for 3, close it, leave it closed for 3. Just how I've been doing it. It's been running really well. Haven't had to relight it or anything, so... Okay, so we're coming up on 34. I'm going to let it go 35 minutes here, but we just started crossing the bottom of that line again, which means it's going to be about 3 ounces of fuel we've burnt through for this project. We still got a small flame down there, nothing drastic. I'm a little worried that 35 minutes isn't going to be enough. I've done this in a Dutch oven, and it's taken 45 minutes. A lot bigger area, a lot more mass, a lot more heat. So, we'll see. While I was sitting here waiting, I was watching a video by Trailhound. He just made a rubbing alcohol stove. Actually, not a stove. Rubbing alcohol emergency heater for the car, I assume, or for anywhere, really. Pretty amazing. I got to hand it to you, Trailhound. You really come up with some of the coolest stuff. It's amazing. You get an idea, and then you go with it. And if you guys haven't seen Trailhound's videos, you really need to take a few minutes to go by and check out his YouTube site. He has some amazing stuff out there that he's really outdone himself. So, also, anybody who's ever done dry baking knows these pots get super hot. But if you haven't done dry baking, don't try and grab a pot. I don't care how well you wrap your handle. Sometimes carbon felt's okay, but anything else, I've tried wrapping it with a silicone wrap. I've tried wrapping it with fiberglass wicking. This one actually has silicone tape, fiberglass wicking, and then more silicone tape. And this handle's still cooking hot, so I always use a glove. The plastic handle's okay. Oh man, we are close. We're not there yet. At least the top one's, and the bottom one's not yet. Okay, so a little soon, but man, it was looking brown. I don't know if you could see that from where you're at, but I'm going to go ahead and let it go at least another 5 minutes, because I just opened the lid and lost a lot of heat there. But we'll at least go another 5 minutes. We may go all the way to 45. It was just starting to brown, just a hair. It won't brown that much, but once it starts to brown, what happens is all those cherry juices really get thin and kind of mix in with the leftover dry cake mix. So that's what gives us our crumbs for the... it's not really a crumb cake, it's more of a cobbler type cake. So we'll let it go, and we'll get back in about another 5 minutes. I'm going to watch another video. I saw that Hiram Cook just put one up on the BottleBot. So, bottle, anyways, I'm going to check that one out as well. Kind of excited to see what that's about. Alright, it's been 43 minutes. I don't think I have any fuel left in the canister here. I might as well shut that off. It ran down, so that was 3 ounces of fuel. A lot of fuel to do 2 little muffin trays to cook with. But we're going to let that burn out the rest of the way. I think it'll probably make it to 45. It's almost out. And then I'm going to let it sit for about 10 minutes before I try and take them out. That last 10 minutes of just leaving that closed will slowly bring the heat back down and let everything kind of congeal back into one solid piece, hopefully. We'll see how it goes. You know, my butter's not even soft down here in the basement. It's so cold in my basement. So it's going to cool off pretty fast. But we're at 44. Flames down to just a smidgen of a little circle in the middle and about that tall. So it's not even touching the pot. But we're going to let it go until 55. We'll open her up at 55 and hopefully it's done because I'm not going to put any more fuel on at this point. It was looking pretty done at 35. It's been a few minutes. I'm kind of impatient, so we're going to take a look and see what we have here. I'm actually going to take it open and then I'll bring you up to see it. I don't want to burn my fingers. I'm going to get the camera set so you guys can watch it. That's what we'll do right there. We'll see. Ooh, look at that. That looks beautiful. It looks like there may be just a hair burn on the edge over there. I gotta try and get this out of here without dropping it on the other one. Ooh, careful. Oh, and the other one looks just as good. Can you guys see that yet? No. Look at that. That looks delicious. Alright, we're gonna get them out, put them in a cup, and heat up. So I'm gonna set this back down for you guys. Real quick, this thing worked like a champ. Smoke Eater 908, you sure make some marvelous stuff. That thing worked like a champ. Now what I'd usually do is I'd just throw something like this right into a cup like this, just set it down inside there, and eat right out of this thing here. It just slides right down inside there, and then I'd just eat right out of that. So, it's a little hot. I saw it bubbling as we brought it out. And I'm a little bit of a chicken. So, we're going to take it nice and slow here. Alright, battery died right before I took my bite. So it's cooled down probably enough now. Well, you can still see it steaming pretty bad. Whew. Oh my gosh, that is so delicious. It's a mixture between a cherry pie. Well, I don't know, it's a cobbler, so that's exactly what it is. Oh, and the brown is on the bottom too. And that's why you leave the cup in there. You're not dirtying up two things. The muffin tin in there. Oh man, hot but good. Well, that's for me. And that one inside there, don't tell anybody, but it's for my wife. We'll see if she wants it. If not, they're both for me. Well, that's all for this video tonight, guys. Woo! That's hot. Alright. Catch you later.